Think Again by Adam Grant sets the stage in the prologue by encouraging readers to embrace humility, curiosity, and flexibility in their thinking. It emphasizes the importance of letting go of outdated ideas to make room for growth and innovation. In 1949, a group of smoke jumpers, highly skilled firefighters, parachuted into Montana to stop a forest fire. However, the fire spread quickly, forcing them to run for their lives. Their leader, Wagner Dodge, created a unique survival strategy by starting a small fire to burn the grass ahead of him. This cleared a space where the main fire couldn't burn, and Dodge survived by lying in the burnt area. Sadly, most of his team didn't follow his lead and died because they couldn't rethink their instincts in time. Dodge survived not because of physical fitness, but because he could think differently under pressure. The story highlights the importance of mental flexibility, rethinking, and unlearning old habits. Many people resist rethinking because it challenges their beliefs, habits, or identity. For example, students often stick to their first answers on tests, even though research shows revising answers usually leads to better results. Similarly, firefighters hesitate to drop their tools during emergencies, even when it could save their lives, because their tools feel like a part of who they are. Rethinking matters in everyday life, too. Whether it's assumptions about relationships, jobs, or societal issues, failing to adapt can have serious consequences. The book explores how rethinking can help us open our minds, persuade others, and build communities that value lifelong learning. It includes examples from history, science, and personal stories to show how rethinking can lead to better decisions and meaningful change. By challenging what we think we know and staying open to new ideas, we can better navigate a rapidly changing world. Part 1. Individual Rethinking. Updating Our Own Views. Chapter 1. A preacher, a prosecutor, a politician, and a scientist. Walk into your mind. Adam Grant illustrates how our thinking often falls into one of three rigid mindsets: the preacher, the prosecutor, and the politician. He tells the story of Mike Lazaridis, the co-creator of the BlackBerry, whose brilliance as an inventor was overshadowed by his unwillingness to rethink. When Apple introduced the iPhone, Lazaridis clung to his belief that consumers wanted their phones to prioritize email over internet capabilities. Locked in preacher mode, defending the original BlackBerry vision, and prosecutor mode, dismissing competitors, he missed the opportunity to adapt. The chapter emphasizes the value of adopting a scientist mindset, approaching ideas with curiosity, forming hypotheses, and being willing to revise them in light of new evidence. To rethink effectively, we must be more like scientists, questioning our assumptions and testing our beliefs instead of blindly defending them. Chapter 2. The Armchair, Quarterback, and the Imposter. Finding the Sweet Spot of Confidence. Grant explores the delicate balance between confidence and humility. He shares the story of Annie Duke, a world-class poker champion who embodies this balance. Duke acknowledges the limits of her knowledge, recognizing that poker is as much about probability and luck as it is about skill. This humility keeps her from becoming overconfident, but her experience gives her the confidence to make calculated risks. Grant contrasts her approach with the classic armchair quarterback, someone who confidently critiques others without a deep understanding of the game. At the other extreme is imposter syndrome, where people underestimate their abilities despite evidence of their competence. The chapter argues that confident humility is the sweet spot, trusting in your abilities while staying open to learning and change. Chapter 3. The Joy of Being Wrong. The Thrill of Not Believing Everything You Think. Grant highlights the liberating power of embracing mistakes. He tells the story of Daniel Kahneman, the Nobel Prize-winning psychologist who finds joy in being proven wrong. Kahneman believes that being wrong is an opportunity to replace a bad idea with a better one. Unlike most people who see errors as failures and cling to their beliefs, Kahneman detaches his identity from his ideas, making it easier to rethink. Grant emphasizes that this mindset shift, from seeing being wrong as a threat to viewing it as a chance to learn, is crucial for growth. By letting go of the need to be right, we open ourselves to greater understanding and personal development. Chapter 4. The Good Fight Club: The Psychology of Constructive Conflict. Grant explores how disagreements can lead to stronger ideas and relationships. He tells the story of a group of Pixar directors who formed what they called the Brain Trust, a space where they could challenge each other's ideas without fear of personal conflict. Their approach to feedback was rooted in curiosity and care. They disagreed not to tear down one another, but to improve their collective work. This contrasts with many workplaces and relationships, where conflict is either avoided or turns destructive. Grant advises embracing disagreeable givers, people who challenge us because they care about our growth, and engaging in disagreements with the goal of learning, not winning. When handled with respect and curiosity, conflict becomes a powerful tool for rethinking. Part 2. Interpersonal Rethinking: Opening Other People's Minds. Chapter 5. Dances with Foes: How to Win Debates and Influence People. Adam Grant emphasizes the power of empathy and curiosity in changing minds. He shares the story of Daryl Davis, a black musician who spent years befriending members of the Ku Klux Klan. Rather than confronting their beliefs with anger or hostility, Davis approached them with genuine curiosity, asking questions like, "How can you hate me if you don't even know me?" Over time, his thoughtful conversations led many Klan members to leave the group and renounce their ideology. This chapter challenges the traditional approach of trying to win arguments by overpowering others with facts. Instead, Grant argues that to truly influence people, you must dance with them, listening carefully, asking open-ended questions, and building understanding. This approach helps people feel less defensive and more open to rethinking their positions. Chapter 6. Bad Blood on the Diamond: Diminishing Prejudice by Destabilizing Stereotypes. Grant explores how shared goals and experiences can break down deeply ingrained biases. He recounts the story of Jackie Robinson, the first black player in Major League Baseball, who joined the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1947. Robinson's mere presence on the team challenged stereotypes, but it was the way his teammates ultimately supported him that helped diminish prejudice. For example, Pee Wee Reese, a white teammate, publicly put his arm around Robinson during a game, signaling solidarity. This small but powerful gesture destabilized stereotypes and forced fans and players to confront their biases. The chapter argues that prejudice isn't always dismantled by directly attacking it. Sometimes the most effective strategy is creating environments where people are exposed to diverse perspectives and shared goals, making stereotypes harder to sustain. Chapter 7. Vaccine Whisperers and Mild-Mannered Interrogators: How the Right Kind of Listening Motivates People to Change. Focuses on the art of motivational interviewing to encourage rethinking. Grant tells the story of vaccine whisperers, healthcare professionals who work with vaccine-hesitant parents by using empathy and non-judgmental listening. Instead of lecturing or pressuring, these whisperers ask gentle questions such as, "What are your concerns?" and "What would make you feel more comfortable?" By validating fears and exploring doubts without judgment, they help people feel heard and, eventually, more open to change. Grant contrasts this approach with the typical method of bombarding people with facts, which often backfires by making them more resistant. The chapter underscores that change happens when people feel safe to rethink. and this is achieved by listening carefully, validating emotions, and guiding them toward new perspectives. Part 3. Collective Rethinking: Creating Communities of Lifelong Learners. Chapter 8. Charged Conversations: Depolarizing Our Divided Discussions. Adam Grant explores how to bridge divides in polarized discussions. He shares the story of Megan Phelps Roper, a former member of the extremist Westboro Baptist Church. Megan's views began to shift after engaging with people on Twitter who approached her with patience and respect, instead of hostility. They asked thoughtful questions and challenged her beliefs in a way that encouraged reflection rather than defensiveness. This chapter emphasizes that to depolarize conversations, we must avoid heated arguments and instead foster dialogue that is grounded in curiosity and mutual respect. Asking open-ended questions, finding common ground, and being willing to admit when we don't know something can all help to de-escalate tension and open the door to rethinking. Chapter 9. Rewriting the Textbook: Teaching Students to Question Knowledge. Grant examines how education can shift from rote learning to fostering critical thinking. He tells the story of a school in Luxembourg that adopted a teaching method where students are encouraged to question what they're taught, even challenging their teachers' perspectives. This approach transformed the classroom into a space for dialogue and exploration, where students learned not just to memorize information, but to interrogate it. Grant argues that education should prioritize teaching students how to think rather than what to think. By equipping young people with the tools to evaluate evidence, consider multiple viewpoints, and ask better questions, we can cultivate a generation of lifelong learners who are unafraid to rethink. Chapter 10. That's Not the Way We've Always Done It: Building Cultures of Learning at Work. Grant focuses on creating workplaces that embrace continuous improvement. He shares the story of Bridgewater Associates, a hedge fund led by Ray Dalio, where employees are encouraged to challenge even the CEO's ideas. Bridgewater fosters a culture of radical transparency and constructive feedback, allowing employees to question decisions and share mistakes without fear of punishment. This open environment has helped the company adapt and thrive in a fast-changing industry. Grant argues that organizations need to move away from clinging to the way we've always done it, and instead build cultures that prioritize experimentation, learning from failure, and welcoming diverse perspectives. Teams that embrace rethinking are better equipped to innovate and succeed over the long term. Part 4. Conclusion. Chapter 11. Escaping Tunnel Vision: Reconsidering Our Best-Laid Career and Life Plans. Adam Grant reflects on how rethinking applies not only to beliefs, but also to our life trajectories. He shares the story of Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx, who started her career selling fax machines door to door. Despite initial success in her sales job, Blakely realized it wasn't her passion. By staying open to rethinking her path, she pursued her idea for an innovative undergarment, even though she had no formal training in fashion. Her willingness to question her career trajectory and take risks ultimately led to creating a billion-dollar company. This chapter highlights the dangers of escalation of commitment, where people stick to their plans simply because they've invested time or effort. Grant urges readers to regularly reassess their goals and priorities, staying flexible and open to pivoting when necessary. The key is to view career and life plans as experiments, not fixed paths. Epilogue. In the epilogue, Grant ties together the themes of the book by encouraging readers to embrace rethinking as a lifelong practice. He recounts his own experience of revisiting assumptions about his teaching methods. By soliciting feedback from his students and experimenting with new approaches, he improved not only his teaching but also his connection with his audience. The epilogue emphasizes that rethinking isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing process that keeps us adaptable and open to growth. Grant closes with the idea that being open to change doesn't mean losing yourself. It means continually discovering and evolving into a better version of yourself. I'm Daniel. Thanks for watching. I hope you found these ideas useful. Don't forget to use them in your day-to-day life. I'll see you in the next video.